Direct News TV. February 5, 2024. Israel's war on Gaza, unprecedented destruction as death toll mounts. The UN says since the start of the war around 100,000 people in Gaza have been killed, injured, or are currently missing. Hamas claims several attacks against Israeli forces in Khan Yunis and calls for addressing abuses against Palestinians detained by Israel. More than 12,100 children killed in Gaza, rights group. According to Defense for Children International, Palestine, this number is likely to rise given there are more than 8,000 people still missing under the rubble. Since October 7, an average of 250 children are killed every day as a result of the continuous bombardment by the Israeli army. This is unprecedented. It has not occurred in any place in the world subject to war, General Director Khaled Kuzmer told the press. UNRWA chief welcomes appointment of an independent panel to review agency. Philippe Lazzarini says he is looking forward to the findings of the review group appointed by UN Chief Guterres. I welcome the appointment by UN Secretary-General of an independent review group to assess how UNRWA ensures neutrality and responds to allegations of serious breaches. I look forward to the conclusion and recommendations of the report which will be made public, Lazzarini said in a social media post. This independent external review will take place in parallel with an investigation currently underway by the UN Office of Internal Oversight Services. The review panel comes in response to Israeli allegations that UNRWA employees participated in Hamas's October 7 attacks in Israel. Several Western countries, led by the US, suspended funding to the agency in response to the accusation. But Palestinian rights advocates have accused Israel of targeting UNRWA to worsen the already dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Israeli forces killed 121 children in West Bank in 2023, rights group. Khaled Kuzmer, General Director of Defense for Children International, Palestine, has called 2023 a year of genocide against Palestinian children at the hands of the Israeli occupation, calling the rate at which they were being killed unprecedented. Since October 7 until the end of 2023, Israeli forces killed 81 children in the occupied West Bank, he told Al Jazeera, adding that from January 1 until February 4, 2024, soldiers killed 15 children. According to the Israeli Prison Service, the number of children in detention at the end of October 2023 was 204 prisoners, and after the prisoner-captive exchange deal, the number decreased to 137, he added. There are no numbers on child prisoners hailing from the Gaza Strip because Israeli authorities have prevented lawyers from visiting them, Kuzmer said. Palestinian Canadians disappointed by Canada's visa program for extended family. Palestinian Canadians say they are disappointed by Canada's temporary visa program for extended family members hoping to leave Gaza. They called for the government to speed up the approval process. There was no consideration for the dangerous situation in Gaza, they said. 3 Amal movement fighters killed in southern Lebanon. The Amal movement in Lebanon has announced the killing of 3 of its fighters by Israel in the country's south. The movement, which was formed during the Lebanese Civil War in 1975 by Musa Sadr, is predominantly Shia and is considered a close ally of Hezbollah. Amal is led by Nabi Berri, the Lebanese parliament speaker. Since October 7, 7 Amal fighters have been killed. Hezbollah has been engaging in daily clashes with Israeli forces across the Lebanon-Israel border since the outbreak of the war on Gaza. It remains unclear to what extent its allies, including Amal, are involved in the fighting. The Qatari Ministry of Foreign Affairs says an aircraft carrying 39 tons of aid for Palestinians in Gaza has arrived in El Arish, Egypt, near the Palestinian territory. The ministry added that Qatar has now sent 75 planes loaded with 2,225 tons of assistance for Gaza. Houthis still intent on disrupting Red Sea shipping, UK Defence Minister. Air raids against Houthi targets in Yemen have not fully diminished the group's willingness to disrupt Red Sea shipping, the United Kingdom's Defence Minister Grant Shapps has said. These attacks have had a significant effect on degrading Houthi capabilities. But the Houthis' intent to continue disrupting the Red Sea has not been fully diminished, Shapps told Parliament. Houthis have launched dozens of missile, drone and boat attacks on commercial vessels in addition to US and UK military warships, with the stated goal of stopping Israel's devastating war on Gaza. The Houthis have also demanded that Israel allow the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza, where nearly the entire population of 2.3 million faces hunger. US and UK officials have dismissed the link between the conflict and the Yemeni group's attacks, calling them very irresponsible and illegal. Israel continues its lethal open-fire policy in the West Bank, Tselem. The Israeli rights group has released its findings for November 2023, which showed that Israel's lethal open-fire policy in the West Bank led to the killing of 116 Palestinians, 25 of them under the age of 18. Of the November casualties, 43 were killed when they threw stones, set off firecrackers or burned tires, the group found. However, more than half of them, 23, were not taking part in any clashes themselves, but only watching or passing by. One Palestinian was killed while harvesting olives, and a Palestinian miner was killed after throwing an empty bottle at a settlement gate, the group said. Another 51 November casualties were killed in exchanges of fire or immediately after, 31 of them in air raids, including 3 miners, 1 12 and 2 14 years old, and 28 armed operatives, Tselem said. Hamas claims attacks against Israeli forces. The Qassam Brigades, the armed wing of Hamas, says it has hit several tanks with Yasin 105 mortar shells and targeted a house where Israeli troops were sheltering in Khan Yunis. The group also claimed an attack on a tank in Gaza City in the north of the territory. It later released footage of its fighters targeting Israeli military vehicles in southern Gaza. Netanyahu says he will not accept Hamas captive demands. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Hamas has put forward demands that we will not accept regarding the release of captives held in Gaza. The AFP news agency reported that Netanyahu's Likud party said in a statement that an agreement should be similar to the previous agreement, in November, which exchanged Palestinians held in Israeli prisons for captives held in Gaza and led to a temporary pause in the fighting. Speaking to Israeli forces, Netanyahu said his policy remains one of total victory over Hamas. In North Gaza, the scale of destruction is staggering, UNRWA. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has shared footage of one of its health centers around widespread destruction, saying, "There is nothing left." This is an unprecedented level of destruction and forced displacement, taking place in front of our eyes. UN chief appoints independent panel to assess UNRWA allegations. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has said that an independent review group, helmed by former French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna, will conduct an assessment of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, following Israeli allegations that members of the organization took part in the October 7 attack. Antonio Guterres, in consultation with Philippe Lazzarini, has appointed an independent review group to assess whether UNRWA is doing everything within its power to ensure neutrality and respond to allegations of serious breaches, a UN spokesperson said in a statement. Several Western countries have suspended funding for UNRWA, sparking criticism from rights advocates who say that weakening the agency will deepen the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Hamas calls for addressing Israeli abuses against Palestinian detainees. The group has urged rights organizations to document and follow up on the stories of Palestinians who had been detained by Israeli forces in Gaza and reported torture and humiliation during their captivity. These testimonies about the violations committed by Israel against abductees in Gaza are another piece of evidence that it is deliberately committing war crimes and crimes against humanity, which call for prosecution in international court, Hamas said in a statement. Palestinians hope Blinken's visit can deliver Gaza ceasefire. Palestinians are hoping that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to the region will finally deliver a truce, in time to head off a threatened new Israeli assault on Rafah, the last refuge at the enclave's edge. We want the war to end and we want to go back home. This is all that we want at this stage. Yaman Hamad, 35, a father of 4 sheltering at a UN school in Deir el-Bala in central Gaza, told Reuters news agency. The area is one of the few where Israeli tanks have yet to advance, and it is now jammed with tens of thousands of displaced families. All we do is listen to the news through small radios and view the internet looking for hope. We hope that Blinken will tell Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu enough is enough, and we hope our factions decide in the best interest of our people. About 100,000 Palestinians killed, wounded or missing in Gaza, UNRWA Chief. The Commissioner General of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, has said that nearly 5% of the Gaza Strip's population has been either killed or wounded, or gone missing. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.